What's your "I'm not even supposed to be here today" story? When I was in middle school, my mum went to work before I woke up, so I always got myself to school alone. On this particular rainy, windy day, I decided to accidentally sleep in till 11 a.m. I lived in northern Colorado where there are hardly any tornadoes, but when I turned on the TV, there was a serious tornado warning for my exact area. We lived in a tiny apartment on the third floor, and all of the neighbors were kinda sketchy. So I was alone and panicking, just wishing I'd gone to school. By then, the weather was too severe to walk the mile to my school, so I hid in the bathroom and accepted my fate, and eventually the weather cleared up. Missed my flight off Kauai and got on the next flight to Oahu. Flight was 20 minutes. Takeoff was fine and we were ascending normally until the plane jolted with such severity as I rose out of my seat. I saw a flight attendant hit their head on the ceiling. People started screaming. The plane was tossed up and down and whipped side to side. I grabbed the arms to my chair like it was a jetpack and held on for dear life. This continued for whole minutes. All I could think was, this is how I die. I'm not even supposed to be on this flight. What a terrible way to end this vacation. Eventually it stopped and the pilot came on over intercom and apologized for the turbulence and told us that the drink service would be suspended. I don't care about juice at this point, buddy. Get this plane on the fricking ground. Working in a thrift store, covering another manager's shift so she could take her birthday off. Right after I clock in, I see a woman stuffing her purse with used bras and undies and then try to make a run for the front door. I got as far as saying, "Excuse me, ma'am," before she screams and upends her extra-large Taco Bell cup full of Mountain Dew Livewire over my head. She runs into the street and everyone in the store stares at me while I'm dripping in orange bullcrap. I got to work the next 8 hours with sticky, citrus-scented hair. Worked in fast food. Anyways, this one night it was crazy busy and some people had called in. Here I am wanting to check my schedule, but I noticed the massive lines. The one really super chill manager looks at me and motions for me to come to the back and tells me if any of the other managers caught me I would be stuck here all night. It was Friday night and I just wanted to go out and drink. So she literally grabbed me by the collar and dragged me out the back door and closed it behind me. Best boss ever. Nice. Yep, if that was my teenage job at McDonald's, that would be me hauled behind the counter, given an extra shirt, and stuck for the next 5 hours. Lucky you. Also, your boss is very different to literally every other fast food manager in the world, so congrats on that. Not me, but as I'm getting dressed for work as a paramedic, a coworker messages to ask if we can switch stations. I was Station A and he was Station B. In my mind, the stations were about the same, but people usually prefer Station A. I say that's fine and I go to Station B. I proceed to get 0 calls. He was busy the entire shift, including a guy that went into cardiac arrest while driving and hit another car and a tree, and the initial dispatch reported the passenger as being unconscious as well. I heard it all on the radio. He texted me later in the night like, "I'm never swapping with you again." In short, coworker tried to swap for the better station and got screwed. Supposed to be on our honeymoon, but didn't have enough money to go anywhere, so we were hiding from family for the week. Been kinda nice. Came in on my day off because someone called out. Got rewarded with the hands-down worst bite in my 5 years as a groomer. 4 deep punctures, 2 ended up abscessing, and I got a bone infection despite immediate treatment and antibiotics. The constant bandage changes ended up ripping bits off my skin, so I have scars, not just from the bite, but also the bandaging. Everyone who says, "But all you do is play with puppies all day," to a groomer is full of crap. Reluctantly was taking a trip to Hartford, Connecticut one weekend, and on the way caught a flat tire. A friend drives a Lexus, which requires a custom key to remove the tire. I didn't have the key and had to be towed to an auto shop to have the wheel busted off. The whole process took about 2.5 hours, and we were hungry and cranky, so we decided to stop off at a random bar we saw on Yelp, and we head straight there. I walk in and the owner is crazy excited, like running around the bar excited to see us. He insists we sit at the bar with him and he tells us we're his first lunch customers ever. Serves us amazing food. We stay for a while for some drinks with him and we have a good time. Later, a few girls walk in and he's only slightly less excited to see them. This dude had crazy energy. Have a good time for the rest of the night there, and end up dating one of the girls we met that night for 3 or 4 months. Really an enjoyable time. The bar was called the Clydesdale Pub. Not actually in Hartford, but it's close in Port Chester, New York. Definitely recommend checking it out if you're in the area. He was serving what he called Brazilian dumplings at the time that were just amazing. I was almost sold into a working girl ring as an infant. I was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where my biological parents basically listed me on the black market, intending to sell me for profit. Much to my fortune, a group that posed as buyers on the black market but was actually an adoption agency, or at least worked closely with one, arranged to buy me, then proceeded to literally steal me in a van and spirit me away to Rio. There I was kept safe, and at 9 months of age, a wonderful young couple from Pennsylvania flew down to meet me and take me home forever. I'm now living a fantastic life that was gifted to me against unimaginable odds, and I'm thankful for it every day. And I'm thankful to those who made it possible, whoever they may be. They must have had hearts of gold and boundless courage to enter dangerous situations like that to help the helpless and innocent children like myself. Co-worker's granddad died. I was supposed to be on holiday, but ended up covering her shift. I got there and was informed I needed to fire someone. Well, not exactly. They weren't on high enough warnings yet, so I had to convince her to quit. As a note, I'd properly fired her boyfriend 2 months prior for an unrelated reason. After that was done, an ex-staff member sent me a crapload of annoyed messages that they hadn't gotten a leaving card or gift. I explained that A, they'd given away their last shifts, meaning that we didn't have time to organize anything, and B, it's never been one of my jobs to organize leaving cards or gifts. There were 2 other people assigned to the job. Finally, I'd bought another coworker a leaving gift with my own money on my own time, which had nothing to do with work. Also, a kid chucked up. Everywhere. 11-hour shift in my holiday time, never again. Not my story, but a classmate's. My friend got a baby duck, so she went to go see it. Her friend lived with substance dealers. Cops raided the place, and she was arrested along with the 12 guys that were in the house. They all would have been charged with felonies if the 2 substance dealers hadn't written their names on the bags of green herb. The best part of this story was that the raid happened on the 20th of April. I love college towns. She was still charged with a misdemeanor for possession, by the way, but she kinda got off light. The narrator hopes that the last part only happened because she actually had a bag of the wacky tobacco on her, and not just because she happened to live in the same place. Who knows though, I guess. Georgia State Penitentiary. Was hospitalized over my court date. Social workers took care of it, supposedly. I got back to work at the Air Force and I had a bench warrant out for me. It told me to show up at Georgia State Pen at 5 a.m. I thought I was getting a new court date. Nope. I got a roommate in cell block D. Didn't get to talk to a lawyer until the next day. After a brief conversation, I was released by the warden, and that's how I learned not to drive like an idiot. But at least I can say I've been to prison, not on my record, luckily. I got fired while on paid vacation leave to spend the weekend celebrating my 21st birthday. I got home from the bar at around 3 a.m. Woke up at 4 a.m. because my phone is ringing. Conversation went like this. Hello? Mr. Drunk Man, it's your boss. We need you to come in at 6 to help open. No one else will do it. Boss, I just got home from the bar. I'm still drunk. Just until 9. We just need you until 9. I'm drunk. It's my birthday weekend. I asked off months ago. But no one else will come in. I'm drunk and on vacation. Please, Drunk Man, please. Oh my god, for frick's sake, just till 9? Just until 9. Fine, I'll get up and take a shower and call a cab. Thank you. See you at 6. I opened the bakery department, and as an added surprise, the coffee bar, which I wasn't trained to do, and I worked both departments alone for 2 hours serving customers. 9 a.m. rolls around, and the boss calls me into the back office as I'm clocking out and fires me on the spot for being at work smelling like vodka and asks me to clean out my locker. Looking back, I was supposed to get my annual raise 4 days later, and she knew I'd be drunk. She set me up to work 3 hours so she didn't have to give me a raise. I was working retail and had 2 weeks left until school started again, and I was quitting. This lady let her kid go number 2 on the floor in a clothing rack. My manager approached me and told me the situation and said I was to clean it up. I responded with, I have 4 days left here. I'll quit right now. You don't pay me enough for that. She laughed and said she had figured I'd say something like that. Then we both laughed. Then she said she'd find someone who actually needed the job to do it. I'm a teacher. I was sick and thought I could make it through a school day. but I was miserable. I went to the office to arrange a sub. On the way back to my room to get my car keys, I saw two students loitering outside the library. I tried to keep my head down and my ears closed, but as I walked by, one said to the other, "Man, I'm gonna frickin' murder that kid with his pencil when I see him." He could have just said anything else and I'd have kept walking. Alas. You can submit your own stories to be featured here on the channel. The story submission link is in the description below. And if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out Easy Mode, also linked below, and subscribe. I stopped by a friend's house. It turns out that was the day the police decided to come and arrest him and search his house. I was on my way out the door when they arrived. I was in the Coast Guard and I had to cover for someone on my day off. Well, the night before was my friend's last day, so we threw down and partied. Normally, when you stand by for someone, it's common courtesy from the other crew to basically give you the day off, unless you're really needed. So I said, screw it. Well, I was hungover on the rec desk, trying not to die, and a pipe goes through that a body had been reported, and they called the crew to make preps and put me on there. The absolute jerks. It turned out to be 4 bloated bodies that had been gotten to by sharks and other fish. Worst smell I've ever smelled. Got back to the station and had to throw away the uniform I was wearing. That sucked, but not as much as CISM afterwards. That's basically when they sit you down with a chaplain and make you talk about what you've just witnessed immediately after you've witnessed said thing, with little to no time to process. It supposedly helps, but it for damn sure didn't help me. Last summer, there was this rugby tournament in my hometown. Since I play rugby while at college and my team is participating, I decided to go visit and watch the games. I originally had been unavailable, which is why I wasn't signed up. Anyways, it's a sevens tournament, but they have an injured player after the first game and are down to 6 for the next one. So in order to keep playing, they need another player. They watch me on the sidelines and ask me to play. So you remember that my intention was to come and watch some rugby? Well, too bad. Now I'm borrowing someone's cleats and mouthguard to play rugby in jeans. Jeans. Despite that, though, we still played really well. I was working night security at a hotel at the time. My co-worker and relief got bit by a spider and had necrosis, so I was called in while he was rushed to the ER. An hour into my shift, the entire half of the town lost power, including the hotel. It was in the middle of summer in 100 degrees plus Fahrenheit, and at night it reached the upper 80 degrees if you were lucky. The hotel was 100% full and the parking lot was pitch black. During this time, some dudes on bikes decided to come around and try to break into some cars. I had to chase them off and one of them got brave and tried to fight me and I had to tase him. His friends carried him off. I walked circles around the hotel for 5 hours before power came back. I wasn't even supposed to be there that week. You know, it seems to the narrator like this story can only have come from Australia. There are just too many little telltale signs there, starting with the venomous spider bite. Why do you all live down there? I got called into work one day back when I was working customer service. The girl that had been working that day was in a car crash on the way into work, so I wasn't upset about coming in, just worried for her. Anyway, not 5 minutes after I arrived and clocked in, a lady who looked homeless and absolutely reeked of body odor came in. I worked at a members-only wholesale store, so you had to pay $45 flat fee before you could purchase a single item from the store. This lady came in, wandered around for a minute or two, and then made her way to the counter. Thus started the most bizarre exchange I think I've ever had at a retail store. She said, "Do you sell animals?" "No, this is a wholesale store." "Y'all don't sell chickens? What about just chicks?" "Nope, neither of those. We do sell eggs, but they're unfertilized." "Well, do you sell cabbage and hot dogs?" "You bet. Do you have a membership? I'll be glad to set you up and get you ready to shop." "Oh no, I couldn't possibly. I gotta save my bucks for chickens and hot dogs. Can't have one without the other, or the cabbage. I'll try Walmart, I guess. You think they have chickens there? They probably do. I'll go there and she ambled away while still talking, clearly no longer talking to me, and left the store. I'll never forget you, crazy lady, and the way you had lipstick smeared all around your mouth. Also, the girl who got in a wreck was fine, but received a broken arm and a new car from the other driver's insurance for her trouble. I had one, very recently in fact. I was at work doing very little, like full-screen games little, and my boss walked up to us. He asked if I could go and cover the IT help desk as someone had gone home sick. It's not my job, I'm a server admin, but I'm still in internal IT and couldn't really say no because I was playing games at work. Oh gosh, the amount of grief I got from people. My whole day was spent saying, I don't know how to do that, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Most people were fine, a few thought I was new, but there were some real jerks. I don't know how those help desk guys do it. It's hard work and you meet some real idiots, even though it's a huge IT company. This is long, but bear with me. I offered to cover on a day I don't normally work, so my coworker could spend some time with her family across the state. It was also the day we were training a new girl. I walk in and one of the other coworkers there starts filling me in on the day before. Apparently, the new hire was all over the map and kept going to the bathroom for 20 or 30 minutes at a time, multiple times, over a 6-hour shift. It was a doctor's office and we opened for the day. Half day, so opening at 1. And she's not here. Not exactly the best impression when you're still training. Half an hour goes by and she says she's walking there and starts rambling. She lives literally a block and a half from the office, so I don't know what she's talking about. My coworker pulls her aside and said she can't keep taking super long breaks unless she has medical problems or stomach issues. She gets it, completely understands, and apologizes. Then she takes off her blazer and reveals the worst outfit I've ever seen for work. It was a romper that somehow showed off her butt and her chest at the same time, whilst also looking dirty like she found it on the floor. She's talking like crazy and can't be quiet or focus on anything. Highlights during the few hours she was there: she stroked a patient's butt cheek and thigh because she wanted to see if her leggings felt as soft as they looked. She flirted with a man that was 70 and married, and when he didn't respond physically, she grabbed him and tried to force herself on him. She said she needed to get something from her boyfriend real quick, parked in our back lot for 30 minutes where no one could see her. When she came back from her parking lot escapades, her entire personality was mellow and dropping until she just stopped functioning. She just stared catatonically at the computer screen for 40 minutes while we discussed what to do about her. We ended up making an excuse and having the doctors tell her to leave. As she left, she went to say goodbye to one of the doctors and was slurring her words, and for some reason, at 5:30 in the evening told him, "Bye, have good mornings," and then left. She then called me multiple times at the office, sobbing because she was fired. It was uncomfortable, and I wasn't even supposed to be the one working that day. In short, filled in and ended up training a girl who was high out of her mind. Did not have good mornings after that. Well, in my manager and team leader roles, I've witnessed some pretty disastrous first days in my time, but never any as bad as this. What substance do we think she was on? Smack? That poor girl needs help in any case. I used to make custom leather accessories for motorcycles and once worked on a Saturday to catch up on special orders. A couple came in for a tank bra for the wife's bike. Turns out I knew the husband for years, and the new wife was the CPA for a development company looking for an assistant. And that's how I'm not even supposed to be here today turned into a much better paying job about 10 minutes away from home with excellent benefits. I was visiting federal prison for a community event, and after it was over, there was time to visit with the inmates. Well, me and a friend were about to leave to go and get lunch, but since my coworker was there, I thought to invite her. She was all the way in the back of the room, but before we could make ourselves back to the door, there was a lockdown. We were stuck there, hungry and without any news, for over 2 hours. After we got out, I heard in the news that an inmate had escaped. In short, I was in a lockdown in a federal prison because I thought to invite my coworker to lunch. Worked at McDonald's in high school. A manager called me and asked me to work a breakfast shift on Saturday morning. I figured, sure, the manager was pretty cool and I'd be out of there in a few hours. They have me taking orders and money at the back drive-through window. Car pulled up and it was this old lady. We had the strangest conversation I've had at that place, and it went, "Welcome to McDonald's, blah blah blah. I'm sure we all know how it goes." "Hello, do you know you're a virgin?" Me, who's not a virgin but have to be nice, so I said, "I am?" "Yes, I'm a virgin, you're a virgin, we're all virgins." I was getting curious now. "Okay, how do you know all of this?" "The people told me. They're all around us and they know we're virgins." "Oh well, that's good that you told me." "They had a meeting and we're going to the place for the virgins." "Oh, that's great, but you've got to order now." "Oh, I'll have a tea." She then pulled forward and proceeded to have the exact same conversation with me again at the window. Asked for the manager and told her about the new virgin vacation spot as well. It was this old lady and all the makeup she had on was hot pink. I was cast in a play, quit, and then blackmailed into coming back and doing the show by the crazy choreographer. I found out years later the director had no clue and he apologized to me. The night I came in for my first forced rehearsal, I saw a drunk guy get hit and killed by a car outside the rehearsal space. I was a small child in a stroller. My mum was rushing down the stairs and was too slow, and the doors in the front carriage closed in her face and she missed the train. A few minutes later, the train crashed. 43 people died, and most of them were from the front couple of carriages. Google the Moorgate tube crash if you want to be traumatized. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories, or if you want some vibey music to put on in the background, check out Easy Mode. If you like Am I the Genius, give Am I the Jerk a shot. Everything linked in the description.